Hi there, folks. Simon here. This is another game from the 2022 TAC Championship. This is game two between Ali and Fwib, and Fwib is in white, Ali is in black. They have played one game so far, and Ali came out on top with a very sneaky road threat. Right there at the end of the game, too, it was getting really down to the wire. This is a four-game series. These games are played on a 6x6 board with 15 minutes on the clock and 15-second increment, meaning 15 seconds get added to their clock after every turn. Additionally, we are playing with two Comey. This means that 2 is added to Black's flat count score at the end of the game if it does not end in a road. Another important note, I wasn't able to make this match live because it was played at 3:30 in the morning my time because they're in Australia and the UK and that's how they timed it. So this is actually recorded from Ali's point of view, so I won't be able to move the board, but we are seeing Ali make the moves. It's not actually me playing, just Ali making the moves, and then I am doing live commentary on top of it as I watch, as I have not seen this game before. So let's jump right into game two of Ali versus Fwib. All right, we're seeing A6 played and F6. Oh no, Ali has the board rotate as player two. That's going to make it impossible for me to do this. Okay, so we're seeing the Knights opening from Fwib as we've come to expect. He will basically always play the Knights opening. Throwing that flat in there here at E5, I really like, for me personally, playing at F4 there for white after that E5 flat is placed, because then it gives you the option to go vertical or horizontal equally, and you're building towards both of those. Uh, Fwib opts not to do that, plays it at F5 instead, really sort of committing towards that vertical line. It's interesting that Black is considering playing up at D4 here, because that doesn't really seem to do much. Playing at F4 makes more sense to me. It gets more in the business of white, doesn't let him run away with it going in one direction. Um, this is a good play for white, just kind of really focusing on that one vertical line. But if black is able to shut it down, it could spell disaster. And that could be done. I like a capstone at D4 here, actually. Capstone at D4 isn't bad. Okay, black's building towards the horizontal here. White decides to cover that a little bit, maybe build a little buffer in there. But now black drops the capstone. That's a solid capstone place also. We talk about a lot of the guidelines of how to place a great capstone in the capstones video of TAC University. This one follows quite a bit of it. It's early, it's centrally located, it can cut off, it can't be isolated, it can it can cut off part of white's threat, and it can also work towards black's threats. Like it does a lot of things that are really good here. All right. White now dropping the capstone in another really good spot. It again follows a lot of those guidelines. It's a really great spot for a capstone, which is exactly what you'd expect. You expect to see really good capstone placement from two really good players. Obviously, there's a reason these guys are in the championship, of course. All right, black playing up at C3. Um, I'm not sure about that play, to be honest. I'm not sure what that move does for black. I would have expected more maybe an F3 move. Ooh, bringing the capstone over. Okay. I mean, it wasn't a tag threat yet, but it was going to be one very, very soon. And I think bringing that capstone over is maybe a little bit premature. Looks like Black's looking through the moves here, seeing if he could have done something different, or if White was planning on something in particular. But now White looks to be playing off to the side there, filling in where Black moved from. White is the aggressor right now. Black is seemingly on the back foot here. Looks to be defending quite a bit. Not making too many pushes, too many aggressive pushes, not too many offensive moves here. You're definitely going to need to play a little bit more aggressive if you're going to want to win this game. All right, white building off, ready to capture over and make some more moves towards that vertical threat. Black looking at f3, which I think would be a good move here. Gives more of a base for black and making those offensive moves and setting up some threats later on. Fwib still thinking about the response here. Fwib shifting gears, going for the horizontal. And I think after f3, I think that's the move you make here. You want to shift to that horizontal threat. Black's going to go for it. White does not have momentum. Black does. Black can place at a3 for a road threat. Yeah, black placing an a3 is a road threat, but black's looking at that d2 spot because it looks like white would cover up on d2 to cut off that threat. And so black is sort of supporting it right now. White's making the attack threat now. Black's looking at a capture. Probably not with the capstone because that would sort of give up the horizontal line, but it looks like he's going to make that. He hasn't made it yet, but he's thinking about it. Yep, he made that move, cutting off white's threat there. But I feel like white's just going to play at e3 now. Fill in at e3. That makes a lot of sense, and he does do that. This is now another threat for white in the horizontal direction. Black comes over with a capstone, cutting off the threat. White can renew by placing at either f1 or f2, or by bringing c2 down to c3, which would be a c2 plus move, actually, which is confusing because it's board is flipped. Yeah, it's just very confusing with the flipped board. As you can tell, I am not accustomed to playing with a flipped board. He doesn't do that. He brings the capstone up, which is surprising. I didn't expect the capstone to come up here. Now, this is tricky. Black is thinking of playing down at d6. Now, I understand why he wants to play at d6, but he's in a really tricky position here. And that could come back to bite him. Now, d6 is really great for a couple of reasons. Number one, it builds towards that vertical threat. So he can start building the vertical threat really easily. But also, number two, it goes for that horizontal threat there at the bottom. You can just make those connections down at c6 and b6, and that's looking pretty good for him, to be honest. Like, I like that play at d6. He's just got to be careful and not let white get him in a position that he can't get out of here. And I think that he's safe at the moment. I don't think that he's in any sort of danger of getting tenuate or anything like that. But it's close. Like white has a good position. I would say though that after that d6 move, I would say that I like black's position a little bit more here. Black has several things that they're building towards. White has a few things. They've got the vertical and the horizontal that they're going for right now. They can go for either of those, but the vertical is pretty weak at the moment. The horizontal isn't too bad, but it's not that strong. And I think that is a problem that white has. White might be thinking of taking c3, capturing onto c2. Or just placing at c4 here. That works as well. Maybe even a b2 placement, but probably not. Could decide to play down at c6. And go for that vertical there, or at b6. A lot of options here for white, and that's why white's finally taken some time on this turn. Does place at f2, renewing the attack threat. Black's going to cover that up with the capstone. This cuts off that threat, but also creates that vertical threat for black as well. Black's able to get a road by placing at d4. White's obviously not going to let that happen. They had to have had a plan for that. I am worried about black's capstone, though. It's got a lot of captives underneath it. And that's going to seriously limit his mobility with that capstone later on in the game. Now, if I'm white, I might just play a flat here at d4. I might play... Yeah, I would probably play a flat here at d4. And then if black plays at e4, I come over with c2. Okay, so... But this is actually looking pretty good for black, because black fills in at e4. And then if black captures up at the top by d2 and d1, then, or white captures up at the top, sorry, at d2 and d1, then black shifts gears to that horizontal down below, plays at c6. And just constantly pushing the threat on. Or b6, actually. I like b6 better than c6 for black here. So now that that's made, b6 is better. The reason I say b6 is better is because if I wanted to renew that threat as black after c6, so I play c6, then white plays b6. In order to renew it, I place my white flat, or my black flat up at b5. Well, white's got a flat right there next to b5. But if I play at b6 and then white plays at c6, I can play at c5 without worrying about white recapturing onto my new flat. And so that's why b6 is the better play here. And I see Ali waffling back and forth between playing b6 and c6. He looks to be settling on b6 right now. He's taking a little bit of time here now, too. Now, they both played fairly quickly so far. Ali at about 13 and a half minutes. Fwib at about 14. 18 moves in. That's pretty good. So he does play at b6. This is the attack threat now in the horizontal direction. I don't think white is going to play a flat at c6 to stop this now, because that really doesn't work for him. May decide to drop a wall. Probably not. But once that's played, whatever blockage does decide to use a flat. Now, black's surely going to play at c5 now. So the c5 gets played. That's renewing the attack threat by either placing at b5 or coming down with c5 to c6. Not the easiest position here for white, that's for sure. White's got to make a capture. Does so by throwing the capstone down. I did not expect the capstone throw to happen here. If I'm black, I'm probably going to fill in there at c3. c3 feels really good. It works towards the horizontal threat. Stops white from building towards the horizontal down below. Makes white build up at the 2 line. Yeah, I really like c3 here. Yep, goes for the c3. What is white's response to the c3? Because I feel like he had to have had something in mind when he moved that capstone away from c3. Doesn't look to be playing anything yet. So maybe he didn't have a plan. What would I play? Um, I wouldn't move the capstone back. I might play at a3 myself, since that's where I expect black to play on the following turn. A3 would be pretty good to stop that. Hmm. Yeah, a3 seems like the right move, but Fwib is taking a lot of time here. A lot of time indeed. Down below 12 minutes on the clock. Black's position does seem to be better here. I still do like black's position more. Brings the cat back up? Now black's surely going to fill in at c5 now and renew the threat. I feel like that move was just wasted. It's basically causes thrashing. Okay, so we see f5 come right onto e5. Black's going to come down with the capstone? That's an interesting play. I mean, it's risky because it's putting a lot of pieces under that capstone. But he renews the threat and opens up a slot to play at d3 to have the horizontal threat up above and to have that one below if white cuts it off below but doesn't cut it off above. Capturing at e4 here is probably the better play for white because that would cut off both lines. Yeah, cutting off both lines I think is the play you want to make here. Capturing onto e4. Ooh, and I guess you can capture with that stack because the capstone has so many enemy flats. Black gonna fill in. I mean, if black doesn't fill in, white filling in there is a threat for white. I feel like you got to fill in there as black. I mean, it's also good for you offensively, but it's pretty important defensively as well. Playing down at e5, I was looking at that move because then you would win the capture war on e4 without using the capstone. Okay, so he plays below. White fills in. This is now attack threat for white. Black's got to be able to cut that off. And he can bring up that whole stack. Bringing up the whole stack wouldn't work for this move, though, obviously, because that would leave white with a road. But he can bring down d2. And bringing down d2 isn't too bad. White would not be able to immediately renew the threat. Oh, they would be able to with c2 minus. Black coming right. Yeah, I like that move. Then white can still immediately renew, but I think it's fine. Black still has b3 that can come down onto b4 and stop anything from happening in that horizontal direction. Okay, he does capture over with f3 onto e3. Black is counting the flats underneath there, making sure that he can, in fact, move that whole capstone stack. And he can. He definitely can. White can renew here. White would be able to renew the threat with 2d1 plus, which is the 2d1 stack moving down to d2. I know the plus and minus doesn't make a lot of sense because of the flipped board, but I can't do anything about that. Ali plays on the flipped board because he's crazy, clearly. Renews the threat a different way. Black is going to bring the whole capstone up? No way. Because then he'll be forced into leaving behind a white flat, and then black would just be able to renew the threat with a flat placement. White could renew. Once black moves that whole stack, white can just place and fill in there, and then that's another threat. Just go b3 minus. I think b3 minus is your play here, black. Oh, goodness. Tough spot. Oh, is he doing it? No, don't do it. What are you doing? Okay, so they're both about even time right now. Yeah, he sees the b3 minus move, makes that. I think that is the safe play here. I like that move. Black has a strong position now at the bottom. White is mostly dismantled here. They can start building up at the top for the horizontal, but black has momentum. So they won't be able to do too much without black shutting it down. Oh, what was that? Okay, white brings the capstone over. I wasn't expecting that at all. I was not expecting that capstone to come over. Now, if black does fill in here at b5, white does have the +3 move with the capstone to come down to stop the tack threat. Wouldn't be doing a lot for road potential, but it would be a good flat count differential move. And white may be thinking this should go to flats. Though I believe black is up. So 12 for black, including the two Comey. 9 for white, but white does have a +3 move, which would take him to even. And then also another +2 move, which would put white ahead. So at the moment, though black is ahead on flats, white has the potential to get ahead on flats. With the current board state and the positive flat count differential moves available. But white does need to defend against this road threat right now. And they're going to have to do that with a capture. And they've got essentially two options that aren't immediately renewed. Option one, okay, one option that is not immediately renewed, I guess. No, two options, sorry. Two options. Option one is going to be that B4 stack, spreading it downward, making that +3 move. Option two is going to be making the +2 move with the E3 stack. The E3 stack coming down, dropping 1 on E4, and then dropping the rest on E5. That is the other move that's not immediately renewable. The other ones, so like C6 can go on to B6, but it just gets renewed by a flat at A5. Or C6 can go to C5 and it just gets renewed by a flat at C6. And sometimes you do make those moves in order to set up something later on a different row, but I don't think that is the case here. White does have those positive flat count differential moves available. Comes right, and I guess black's move here is to place at A5. Makes a lot of sense to me. And then likely that capstone will come down. And Ali may be looking at that. I mean, I feel like A5 is the right move here, but I could be way off. Okay, he's going to play at E4, which would say, okay, you can cut me off. Oh, he's going to play a wall at E4 to capture onto E3. And so white definitely does not want black to be able to capture onto E3. So he's going to want to move that E3 stack away. He may decide to bring it to the right, put it onto D3 and C3, letting all the black flats lay on C3 out of reach of black's pieces. I think that's the play here. That looks to be the play here. Because, I mean, white cannot afford to let black get that stack with the wall. Fwib down to 6.5 minutes. Ali up at 9. So 2.5 minutes separates these two players. That is a lifetime when it comes to endgame in TAC. Okay, so Fwib does make that move, brings that stack over, like I was saying. It made the most sense of all the moves there. Could not afford to let that wall get it. And now that he's got the wall there, he might be able to trick white into thinking that he could wall at F5 to stop a road if he plays at A5. He wouldn't be able to because black capstone can smash on E4 for the road, but I don't think white will fall for that. He'll be able to spot it. I mean, he's Fwib, right? Reigning TAC champion, he knows what he's doing, but white instead will place at B3, making a TAC threat. It's a good tack threat. And apparently Ali is turning his music down. Yeah. Places there and placing. Oh, that's Ali placing there. Okay. I thought it was fwib for some reason. I don't know why I was thinking it was fwib. Yeah, Ali places a wall there. Another wall drops, and he can't afford it. So he's got 10 flats. 9 flats for white, 10 flats for black. He can afford that wall. White cannot afford to smash the wall because that would give black Tinuay on the next turn. I'm pretty positive. Pretty sure at least. So what is white's? So wait, white came down with the stack to get away. Black places at f5, makes the tack threat. I guess if white comes down with the stack, black might abandon a bunch of white flats to get that stack full of blacks on c4. I can see that happening. It wouldn't be a loss at this point because there's no connection up top. And I don't think it would lead to Tinuay. It might lead to Tinuay actually. Yeah, I think it would lead to Tinuay. White be able to spread that up in such a way that he'd be able to make the vertical and horizontal threat in the following turn. It would be a road. So black can't afford to leave behind a bunch of white flats and capture that. I don't think. If he does that, that's gonna be no bueno. But he can capture it with the flat, I guess, and then lose that capture war. Yeah, I am almost positive that black is unable to leave behind all those white flats and capture onto c4. I mean, he can capture with all the flats, but then he can't do anything with those flats and can't utilize them, and that's what he wants to do. Uh, oh, okay, I was mistaken. Before that c5 plus or c5 minus, I guess, before that c5 move, white wouldn't have been able to spread upwards in such a way that it would give him a vertical and horizontal threat. I don't think. Maybe it would. Yeah, I think it would. Dang it. There's a lot going on here, and they're moving too quick for me to keep up with it all. Now white does not have that connection off to the side for the horizontal. Now black is thinking about capturing. Not with that many, though. Don't you want to leave behind more? That's... You won't be able to do anything with it if you do that. Oh, I don't know about that move. That one seems like a blunder to me. Um yeah, I don't see it. I don't see the reason for that one. Not seeing it at all. What is behind that stack? Is there a white flat or is that an empty square? I think it's an empty square. Yeah, it's an empty square. Hmm. I'm having a hard time following why black made that capture the way he did. Okay, where did white play? White played a wall at C3. So there's a wall behind that big stack now that we can't see. Okay, he just showed us. The wall behind the big stack. Black moves that wall over. I feel like a placement at C6 would have been good there. Placing a flat at C6 for black makes sense because then you can bring that capstone down all the way to C6. And that works out pretty well. It makes a road threat. And it's either stop the road threat or let black run away with the stacks spread up top. I think that works out pretty well for black, but white's making a run for that horizontal threat up at the top. Black's going to come up with that wall stack, and then potentially if white plays up at B1, then black will make the self-capture with the wall stack. Yeah, self-capture imminent. Oh no, the other wall is coming up. Okay, and the other wall coming up frees black up to make some other plays. With that capstone stack potentially spreading along the bottom and the top if he can get the right spread orientation. I think that wall up is the right move. White's going to play now at B2 probably to keep forcing that issue. But that B2 is not an immediate attack threat. Or white could play at E1, and that would be the attack threat throwing that capstone all the way up at the top. Which would also be a good move, and it would be reminiscent of how Ali won in game 1, throwing his capstone from one end of the board to the other. If we have down below 4 minutes on the clock, Ali at 6.5. I don't know what the play is here for white or black. I think white playing at B2 makes a lot of sense here. But I also really like white playing at E1. Almost forcing the self-capture. Not immediate self-capture because that would lose, of course, but I do like the E1 idea. If we're down to 3 minutes, taking a lot of time on this turn, which is understandable considering where we are in the game. We're 36 moves in, and it is getting down to that end game. He wants to make sure that he is making the right move here. And he plays at B2, doesn't make the E1 move. Black thinking of just playing at B3 because it's not currently a attack threat for white. What? Why'd you play at a3? No, you should have played at e1. E1 was the move here because E1 was tricky because then it would have been attack threat by smashing or by capturing with A1 onto A2. I feel like that would have been really good because overlooking that capstone smash would have been super easy to do after playing at B2. Now black is making a connection. So if he plays at D4, if he gets a chance to play at D4 on the next turn, that's attack threat for black being able to come down with A2 onto A3 and making that horizontal line. White now making the vertical threat. Okay. Making the vertical threat. Smart. Smart. And if black... Oh, black can come down with A2 onto A3. Would not lose to a road, but he would be making his own road threat. Yeah, A2 to A3 would be a threat and stop white's threat, at least for the moment. Okay, he does it. He makes his own threat. Ali now below 6 minutes. Fwib coming down to 2.5 minutes on the clock. Again, they are getting 15 seconds every turn they take. So they can play on the increment here. Okay, white comes over with the wall, stopping that threat. Black... Ooh, black could come left with his own capstone. No, I like you coming left with your capstone, because coming left with your capstone is a threat in the horizontal direction and the vertical direction. And then white would have to throw their capstone all the way to D5. Yeah, go left with your capstone on C4. C4 to D4, that's what you do. Then you're making a threat in the vertical direction and the horizontal direction. And the only move that white could make would be to throw that capstone from B5 to D5. No, go the other way. Go the other way. And once they throw that capstone, you can still do other things. You still have that free stack that you can mess around with. Um, it's oh man, it's so close to Tenué for black if he moves that capstone stack to D4. And it's basically a guaranteed win if he does it. But he's not going to do it. He's going to go the other direction, which isn't nearly as good. Oh, come on. Come on, no go. I gotta look at that later because that looks like that's gotta be Tenué if he moves that the other direction. Move 40. Okay. That's gotta be Tenué. And now the wall is ready to capture that stack. Wouldn't have been able to do that if he moved it the other direction. He's redoing that spread. Smart. You want to leave 2 behind on C5 and also 2 on C6. Or maybe 3 on C6. Yeah, 3 on C6 is better. So you might want to move the whole stack down. So now Now white has to move the capstone to d5 anyway, but you're not in as good a position as you would have been prior to this. Yeah, so white's got to throw the capstone left onto d5. It's the only move he's got to stop both of these horizontal threats up at a4 and over at b6. Does make that move. Black's gonna place. Yeah, placing makes the most sense to me right now at e6. And then I guess f6 goes on to e6. And then black spreads left with c6, right? Black spreads left with c6. So 3c6 going over, dropping 1 on d6. No? I think that's a Tinuay pattern. I think it's Tinuay if he does it that way. I don't like that move at all. I don't like that move at all. Yes, it's tack, but I don't know, that wall, it's just inviting that wall to come down. Wall comes down. Now he needs to spread that c6 stack so the wall on c4 doesn't go get it. But now that that capstone's no longer there, he can't throw the capstone onto b6 for the threat. So it wouldn't even be a tack threat anymore, spreading left. Placing is a threat, but now that wall on c4 can go all the way to c6 and stop it. That's what he does. Black spreading upwards. I don't know. I really think he should have gone the other direction with that capstone move on 40. I think that would have been way better for black. White has some outs now. I mean, black is still going to be able to threaten a road on the next turn, but black is at 14 flats now, and white is at 9. White has a +2 move, but that would still put him 3 behind. Wait, did white just place a flat at a2? Okay. Not attack threat, placing at a2. Ooh, but white is setting up to smash on d3. White wants that smash on d3. Can't make the smash now. And has to defend against that road threat. White makes that +2 move. Or maybe it was a +3 move. Yeah, I think it was a +2 move. Maybe it was +3. I don't know. Black. I mean, e1 isn't even an attack threat. But I guess it is setting up to recapture onto d1 and win some more flat count in case it comes to it. So that's smart play. Thinking about flat count. He's also got, what, 1 or 2 reserves left? So this is basically game over for white. Black wins this on flats. So 15 for black. 11 for white. Oh, wait, no. Not 11 for white right now. I think it's 16 for black and 11 for white because of that capstone smash. She's making the smash, but I think it's too late. I think it's too late. I don't think that white can come back from this. White has 11 flats. Black has 14. Has 2 reserves left. So that's +3. So if he plays 1, he's at +4. White can make a +4 move, and then black places and wins. So yeah, it's over if black plays a flat here. And he's got time to think. He's got 2 minutes on the clock. Fwib is down to 1:20, so he was down to 1:05 before he made that turn. And I'm pretty positive that if black plays a flat here, there's no way that white can win. Yeah, because he has 2 reserves. White only has the opportunity to make a +4 move. Maybe. I think it's a +4. No, it would be a +5 move. It would be +5. But we are looking at a 4-game series, and this is game 2. Ali won the first game. So if he draws on this one, okay, so now he made the +5 move. It's also attack threat. Black, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so 12. 14 for black. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So yeah, black can place 1 flat and win. I'm pretty sure I counted that right. Yeah, 14 for black currently, so it'd be 15 if he places his final flat. And 14 for white. So yeah, black places and wins with flats. That was an intense game. Absolutely intense game. Wow. So excellent game. Well played to both players. Fwib, you played amazingly. Ali, really well done. Congratulations for winning game 2. This is not over for the match. Fwib still has a chance to come back. It is a 4-game match, meaning that Fwib can win the next 2 games, and then they'd go to a tiebreaker. So, that is all we're going to cover today. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out the description below for all things TAC, especially the TAC Discord server, which is where you can find all sorts of TAC resources like strategy guides and people to play with, whether that be on playtac.com or playing asynchronously over Discord. Lots of options there. And thanks again for watching, and until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.